We will start with Jason.
Morning, Penny.
Morning.
I saw where Alo went to Campbell Clinic yesterday. I just want to see if there's been an update to his status / prognosis, and the same goes for DJ.
Yeah, Alex did go to Campbell Clinic yesterday. He was on the court today, just shooting free throws, maybe spot up jump shots, which is a good sign. But you know how hard he plays, man. For him to be on the court, he's going to have to be 90, 95% because he pressures the ball. He plays so hard. So for him, for a normal person, he'd probably be at 60. But for Alex Lomax, I'm thinking he's at 30%, maybe 40% max right now, if that much, just from looking at him. And I'm not in his body, but just looking at him, the way that he likes to play, he's probably at about 30%.
How about DJ? Is he good to go?
DJ's back fully, for sure. He's back. I don't know what happened in that game when he came out of the game. I saw that they had fallen on his ankle. I didn't know how severe it would be. And he was ready to go back into the game for overtime. And I had told him right with the 1.7 seconds on the clock to get ready to check in. But obviously we know it didn't go to overtime.
Yeah. So are you still holding out hope that Alex may be able to, that things may be able to progress to a point where he can give you something, or are you more pessimistic than that?
My brain is like he's not coming back. That's what my mind is on, just so that I can just lock in on Damian Ball, on Boogie. And if he does come back, because he's a strong kid, he's a strong-minded kid, he's tough, and you never know what he'd want to do. But we still got a few days before we play our first game. So, I'll let him make that decision. But right now, my mindset is on the group that I've had for the last 3 games.
Cassie?
Hey, Penny, what do you remember about last year and the whirlwind of emotions from going into the tournament, thinking you guys had a really good shot at winning it all, to kind of the fall down of everything being canceled?
Yeah, I just remember being in my hotel room the night before when there was rumors about that they were thinking about shutting it down. And then the Utah Jazz had the situation with Rudy Gobert. And when they made the call that they were shutting the NBA down, when somebody whispered to Mark Cuban, and then you just read his lips, it was like they're gonna stop the season. I knew it was over. Even though we woke up the next day, they hadn't canceled it yet. Saw that the SEC had canceled before we did. Saw that other conferences were like, we can't do it. I knew that we were gonna be shut down. And it was just raw emotions because we were telling Precious that morning that he had won Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year as well.
Danielle?
With Alo out, how have you seen different guys step up and kind of take on a bunch of the little things that he usually does?
Yeah, we have to do it by committee, but, as far as guys doing it, Landers, you can see that he's trying harder. Boogie, Damian is just a hustler, by nature. But DJ, Landers, Lester, and Boogie are all trying to fill those shoes, which is some big shoes to fill. This is a kid that's leading our league in steals, assisted turnovers, like top 3. So, they are trying to do it, though. You can just tell they're trying to do it for him.
I've also noticed, DeAndre's been really good at passing the ball all season long, but these last few games, Malcolm has logged a couple assists. How important is it to get your bigs more involved and not just, hanging out under the basket and being the guys who catch the ball, but being able to find their teammates as well?
Yeah, I think that's so important, Danielle, because we need to establish an inside presence. I just don't believe in just all outside. I think Musa and Malcolm need to give us, anywhere between 10 and 15 points a game. We have to give that attention to them, and we need that. And it would be more than that would be great, because we're going to get our outside points because we're a guard-oriented team, but we do need that inside presence.
Terry?
What's up, Coach?
What's going on, Terry?
Hey, a couple questions for you. First of all, what type of message you send your guys going into a tournament? Do you hit the reset button? Do you want to build what you're going? And also, what kind of grade would you give your team since the regular season complete on your regular season performance?
Yeah, the first part of that question, we did hit the reset button, but we do understand that we're going to have to change some things this week. It's a mental week for us to go into this tournament with, because we know what's at stake. We're not going to overlook UCF and ECU's game to try to get to Houston, because who knows if Houston wins? It's March Madness. You have to guard against everything. So we just talked about just being locked in for the week mentally, understanding what we have to do, and we have to change some things. So we did hit the reset button, but we are fully aware of what we have to do to win the entire thing. And the second half of that question again, I'm sorry.
How would you grade your regular season since it's over with? What kind of grade are you gonna?
I would give us a B. I would give us a B because, man, we've worked so hard. We've come a long way from South Dakota. We are a totally different team. I'm sure the fans can see it. I'm sure you guys can see it. We know that we're just a totally different team than what we were. We're way more competitive. We're way more locked in. We're way more together as a family. And it's just a different unit right now. So I give us a B.
Clayton?
Penny, I know you just touched on kind of 1 year since everything happened with the conference tournament amid COVID, but where specifically were you when you found out about that with Rudy Gobert, with the NBA? Were you watching it like live in your hotel room? Like where were you?
Yeah, I was watching it live. I think the Mavericks were playing. I don't know who they were playing, but I just remember reading Mark Cuban's lips because the guy came up to him and whispered to him that they were going to end the season. And you could just read his lips vividly and just, hey, they're going to cancel the season. And when that happened, the announcer said it, and I knew that the season was over. We were in the hotel room watching the basketball game.
And just for you, I mean, going back now to Fort Worth 1 year later, I mean, is it going to be is there any kind of odd emotion in there with just being back? It's got to be at least somewhat, I don't know if eerie is the right word. Like, have you thought about that aspect of it at all?
I really haven't, because I'm so locked in on being prepared, but I'm ready to get back. It doesn't even feel like we missed an entire postseason, and we did. So we're getting back to normalcy. They're opening up the state with the mask, not having a mask mandate on Wednesday, tomorrow? I think they're going to open back up, and I think that's the 10th. Did they say the 15th? Tomorrow they're open. So it's a lot that's going to go into going back to Dallas, because the state of Texas is going to be way different, but it's going to be fun getting the opportunity to play a tournament. We haven't played the tournament since we had it here the first year.
Mark?
Hey, Penny, along those lines, this isn't meant to downplay your first two teams, but do you feel better about this team's chances of being able to pull this off and winning the tournament than maybe you have previously, given the kind of role you're on going into this tournament?
I would say yes, because of how much I've implemented my defensive schemes and systems. So I'm fully prepared. I just don't think I didn't allow Jeremiah and that team to really fully press, and that's been who I am. Last year's team didn't really get engulfed into it because Lester and Precious and Boogie had never played that style, so I kind of held back on it. But this year, I just said I'm going all in on what I wanted, and to have those 2 long pauses gave me an opportunity to really it gave me the time to start putting those in. So now we're definitely way more prepared to shut things down and to take the team's best players out of play and play the way that I want to play. That gives us an opportunity to win every game.
To win 3 games in 3 days, I mean, what to you are the keys that are maybe keys to doing that are maybe different than just going out and winning a normal, winning a Wednesday game, if you will, like in the middle of the season?
Yeah, I think that defense travels, and I think that our defensive presence and our intensity and what we bring to the table defensively, that's gonna hold us down for 3 days. I really feel like that can happen. Offensively, if we could catch fire, then that makes us even more dangerous. But we know we are going to play defense, and that gives us an opportunity to win every night. So from night to night, you're not going to overlook anybody because we're going to play with that intensity on every night. And like I said, that gives us a chance to beat anybody.
And then last question, just in general, how much do you love March Madness? I mean, I remember when you got hired, one of the things you said, of all the things you did in your basketball career, you felt like those NCAA tournament runs with the Memphis State were some of your favorite memories. But how much do you love this time of year?
No, I'm a huge March Madness fan. I just remember that run my sophomore year, going to the Elite Eight, man. I wouldn't trade anything in the world for going to the finals in the NBA. That was good. But the NCAA tournament was great because it's an experience that when you go through it once, man, you never want to stop going. So I understand what these kids are missing out on because we only have one guy, Landers Nolly, who went with Virginia Tech, but he wasn't playing. He was sitting out. So nobody's really experienced that yet, and I want our teams to experience that.
Thanks.
Last 2 questions. Terry?
Hey, Penny, I know you say you hit the reset button, but what is the mindset of these guys going into the tournament? Are they confident? Are they just at ease? Or what is the mindset of the overall team?
No, we're very confident because we know we're playing better basketball. And when you're unified the way that we are now, then we don't feel like that there's anything that could make us feel negative about the road that we're headed. Now, it's obvious that you have to win 3 games in a row. So we're locked in on that. And we know that we go in with the right game plan and understanding personnel, that we have the ability to beat anybody. It's a great feeling to know that you can go to a tournament and win any game. There's been times where you've gone with teams and be like, man, we don't know how we're going to beat these guys. You know what I mean? And going to this tournament, we know that we can beat everyone. And we beat SMU. We've beaten pretty much everyone in the tournament except for Houston and Tulsa. Tulsa swept us and Houston beat us one time. So we understand what's at stake, and we know why we lost those games, and we just have to correct that this week and be ready to go.
Last question, Danielle.
You've mentioned quite a few times like the different wrinkles that you've put in on the defense. Are the guys at the point now where they can identify, when the offense changes in a game and when they might need to switch things up, or is it still at the point where, maybe you or someone else has to shout from the sideline and tell them, to get into a different play?
It's really funny you asked that, because it's gotten to the point now to where the players can say, hey, coach, we need to do this. I don't have to call it every time. And they'll get in the game, and I give them that call and say, hey, if you guys see anything out there that you think we need to switch up, like, okay, let's get out of diamond and let's go 22, or let's get out of 22 and let's go circle, all the different wrinkles in the calls that we have, they'll know which one to do. And then they'll say, instead of us doing it full court, let's do it half court. So that's why we're in a great rhythm when those guys start making those calls.
Can you give me an example maybe from one of these last 3 games of when that happened? Yeah,
well, actually in the Houston game, we were doing 22 and we actually went circle to try to speed them up more. And then we went offset, and then we just kept flipping that back and forth to keep them confused. And we did a good job. We just didn't box out well enough. When we box out, we get that victory. So I was proud of the guys for just sticking with the defensive game plans and mixing it up and keeping them confused and getting them late in the shot clock. We just didn't finish the deal with the rebound. So this last game was a big part of that.